of 3Cs initiative. Dear friends from the business community, 3Cs initiative has been booming over the last years. We are open for business and for cooperating with you, so you are always welcome. Thank you for your kind attention.
Dziękuję, panie prezydencie. Thank you so much for your support, for your presence here, but very much as well the support we get from Poland, especially here in Bulgaria. As the chief economist of the Bulgarian Development Bank, I cannot miss the opportunity to stress how much we are being helped by the team at BGK, the Polish Development Bank, who have helped us when we got into the 3Cs Initiative Investment Fund and on learning how to make this success for all the countries in the region. I have to recognize the effort and thank you for all that support we get from Poland. We're advancing now with the agenda, and I have the pleasure to invite President Borut Pahor of Slovenia, who hosted us in Ljubljana 2 years ago. 2 years ago, President Pahor, nobody could probably imagine what was coming forward, what was the consequence of events after this fantastic summit in Ljubljana. But as President Duda said, the initiative has been growing, even at the most challenging of times. So we are all ears to hear your message. Thank you.
Thank you. Dear Roman, colleagues and friends, ladies and gentlemen, it is a pleasure to participate at the business forum of the 3Cs Initiative. I strongly support proactive approach of 3Cs Initiative in organizing economic forum in parallel to a presidential summits. The main task of the 3Cs Initiative and its business forum is to bridge the investments gap in infrastructure. The scale of investments needed is clear. What remains for us is to provide the financing package. The 3Cs Initiative Investment Fund, to which my government has decided to contribute 23 million euros, is to support a considerable number of investment projects. There are two tasks ahead of us. We need to provide further financial means for delivering the projects, and we need to address some legal issues. A part of the member states participating in the initiative, it is necessary to attract institutional and private financial investors into the fund and demonstrate that the projects are of commercial interest. We believe legal options would be needed concerning some dilemmas about the fund. Among them, the nature of the financing. Do we speak of potential state aid and potentially problematic investment in carbon-based sources? In addition, there is a few EU legislation about sustainable finance disclosure regulation. These dilemmas need to be addressed swiftly in order for the 3Cs Initiative Fund to start functioning. I firmly believe that the positive impacts of the fund have the potential to spur infrastructure and other projects in the region. This will, in turn, positively affect the rest of the EU and its immediate neighborhood. Ladies and gentlemen, the Business Forum is about building business partnership and identifying potential investment opportunities. It is also about listening to the voice of the private sector and how to rank priorities. I wish all participants a successful work. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, President Pahor. Our next speaker will be the Deputy Prime Minister of the Czech Republic, Karel Havlíček, who is leading the Czech delegation to the summit. Pan Havlíček, the floor is yours.
Dear President, Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it's really an honor for me to be here with you I've got a great text from my colleagues, but I don't like to read a text. It's better for me to declare what I really feel. And I feel that we are existing in a post-COVID period. We have to restart the economy. We have to restart social activities, cultural activities. We have to restart the process of education. But we have to restart our lives. On the other hand, there are no the troubles, there are no the obstacles. Restart, there are also the opportunities and challenges. We have to transform sector of industry. We have to achieve the better added value. We have to invest into the innovation, into the research, development, into the science, and we have to create so-called added value economies. At the same time, we have to transform the sector of energy. There are the huge opportunities. We have to invest into the decarbonization process. We have to invest into the low carbon energy sources. And at the same time, we have to invest into the transport infrastructure. We have to connect the regions. We have to connect the countries. That's the reason that we have to invest into railways, into the roads, and so on. Well, definitely we can say that we have to restart our lives. But it's not only about the economic efficiency. It's not only about energy. It's not only about the financial indicators. It's about sustainability. It's about security. It's about independency. Well, and it's about the green solutions. But on the other hand, we have to, let's say, set up the realistic green goals and green objectives. 3Cs initiative, it's a great instrument how to achieve it. But on the other hand, we have to strengthen the collaboration with the US. We have to accept that the European Commission is our partner. The US is our partner. It's not our competitor. So thank you very much for the invitation, and enjoy the meeting. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Deputy Prime Minister, and thank you for your very concise message on sustainability, on being oriented towards solutions and realistic objectives, which I feel resonates perfectly with what the previous speaker, President Pachor, just said about being clear when we set priorities. I turn now to another Deputy Prime Minister, this time of the Slovak Republic. This is Ms. Veronika Remišová, who is the Deputy Prime Minister for Digitalization and Innovation. Please, the floor is yours.
Dear Mr. President, Excellencies, dear ladies and gentlemen. It's my pleasure and honor to be here with you today, and I would like to express my gratitude to Bulgaria for their effort and energy and active approach to make this summit happen. The 3Cs initiative offers us a unique opportunity to build interconnection for the whole region and enhance resilience along the north-south axis. This becomes all the more relevant now during the unprecedented crisis which has impacted our life, impacted our societies, and showed us how important is both connectivity and resilience. One thing I want to highlight here is complementarity. For us, it's of key importance that the initiative is clearly and openly complementary to the initiatives and strategic policies of the European Union, mainly the cohesion policy, Next Generation EU, but also the Green Deal, the Digital Single Market, and others. It's through the complementarity to the national and EU initiatives and by mobilizing additional private capital that the initiative has a major potential to create synergies and further foster the cohesion in the European Union. I also welcome the continued support for this initiative from the US administration, and this is an expression of our thriving transatlantic partnership. In this relation, I consider a more embedded presence of Germany and other EU stakeholders in the 3Cs initiative and to the fund as a great asset. Thank you. I have also to mention that since the beginning of the talks about the fund, we have supported the participation of international financial institutions in the fund, the European Investment Bank, the European Bank for Reconstruction and Development, and we welcome the IMF participation today. Along this line, we would also welcome the involvement of private investors. Our focus now is to identify eligible projects in the key areas of the initiative and projects that will be profitable while respecting the value for money principle. It's precisely a solid pipeline of projects that can add to the strong story of the 3Cs initiative. And it is this story that we need to accelerate and advance in these challenging times. Excellencies, dear colleagues, the 3Cs initiative has a great potential to bring all participating countries closer together. I wish all of us that we make the most of this potential for the benefit of our common European vision, for our citizens, and for our thriving transatlantic partnership. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Deputy Prime Minister Remishova, and especially for expanding on the potential of the region and the importance of the transatlantic relationship, so vital to take us into this more prosperous, dynamic, and technologically driven future we're all striving for. Now I'm very pleased to invite to the podium the leader of the Austrian delegation for the summit in Sofia, the Deputy Foreign Minister of the Republic of Austria, Peter Lonsky-Diefenthal.
Mr. President, distinguished panelists, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I would also like to join the previous speakers in thanking you, Mr. President, our hosts, for making this event possible at a very difficult juncture, and we are very appreciative of this initiative. I'm very honored to participate in this panel on behalf of the Federal President of Austria, Alexander van der Bellen, who sends his warmest regards to all of you and who apologizes for not being around himself in person. For many of our companies, big parts of the 3Cs region have been important markets and places for investments for a long time. The 3Cs initiative is offering now an additional forum for those businesses that develop crucial infrastructure projects in the fields of transport, energy, and digitalization. It's an opportunity for both newcomers and traditional partners alike, coming to the benefit of the people we serve, and we learned about the 111 million citizens that will be served through this important initiative. As we will confirm in our joint declaration, we fully align ourselves with important European and global achievements of our times: the Paris Agreement, the European Green Deal, and the Trans-European Networks Instrument. These agreements provide the framework for a smart and sustainable development of the region. In addition to our own dialogue and cooperation, strengthens cohesion and convergence within the European Union even further. With this, we will contribute to increasing connectivity, especially along the north-south axis in Central and in Eastern Europe. By that, we will also contribute to the European single market and ensure that no one is left behind. It will also enhance energy security while we advance towards climate neutrality. Connectivity is of strategic importance if the EU wants to remain a global economic power and an attractive business partner. Speeding up connectivity is therefore vital for the development of our economies and for the well-being of our people in general. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Deputy Foreign Minister. Now, Austria indeed has been a very good guide in many things we do, and it certainly will continue to be in the years to come. And now I'm really, really pleased and very honored to present to you a very special guest for the first time this year at the summit of the Three Seas Initiative. And this is the President of our neighboring country, Greece, Her Excellency Katerina Sakerelopoulou. Καλώς ήρθατε. Καλώς ήρθατε, Katerina. Thank you so much for being with us. We are all ears to hear your motivation and Greece's motivation, which brought you to the summit of the Three Seas Initiative.
It's a big burden you're putting on me. Thank you. Your Excellencies, dear friends, first of all, I would like to express my gratitude to President Radev for the invitation to participate in the Sofia summit of the Three Seas Initiative, a political platform of growing importance which promotes peripheral strategic cooperation among EU countries of Central and Eastern Europe and has been created to address their common needs. It is no secret that the quality and density of the infrastructure in Central and Eastern Europe lags behind that of Western Europe. In this context, the Three Seas Initiative was launched as an informal presidential platform aiming to foster dialogue and promote North-South ties among countries of Central and Eastern Europe with a goal to bring energy, transport, and digital connectivity up to Western Europe levels. This ambitious venture seeks to balance development gaps among EU member states, promoting cohesion within the EU. It has been designed to work in synergy and complementarity with the EU's policies and key funding instruments for development of crucial infrastructure projects. Through this regional theme of cooperation, its members intend to promote their common interests as well as those of the EU, while upgrading critically important cross-border infrastructure connections. Greece is becoming an important energy hub which contributes to the region's energy security. Our main goal remains the diversification of sources, suppliers, and routes by promoting synergies with a strong emphasis on Southeastern Europe and Eastern Mediterranean gas supply. My country strongly supports the realization of the Vertical Gas Corridor, a strategic inclusive project, a network of existing and proposed natural gas infrastructure projects from the Aegean to the Baltic, which holds a major regional significance for the energy security of Southeastern Europe. The promotion of transport networks is also a strategic goal of the Three Seas Initiative. In this framework, Greece has a strong interest in the strengthening of the North-South axis. Moreover, we believe that our ports and existing transportation network can add value to the transportation pillar of the Three Seas Initiative. The promotion of interconnectivity within a region will facilitate social and economic integration in Central and Eastern Europe. The COVID-19 crisis has underlined the importance of digital transformation technologies in our economies and the urgency with which we need to accelerate Europe's digital transition. While some countries in Europe have made a major digital leap during the crisis, we need to ensure that others are not left behind. We must harness this progress on digitalization in order to create jobs, boost economic recovery, and achieve the goals of the European Green Deal. If we invest wisely, Europe will emerge from the pandemic stronger and more prosperous. Climate change mitigation and green sustainable transition, both strategic goals of the EU, figure paramount as objectives of the 3Cs initiative. We are convinced that all participating states will use the parameters of the EU Green Deal and further complement them with their own projects of common interest. Greece is fully committed to the path of green and digital transformation. The total of 175 reforms and investments that the Greek Recovery and Resilience Plan foresees will make Greece emerge stronger, more resilient, and better prepared for the future. Greece's plan devotes 37.5% to the support of green objectives and 23% to digitalization. What is more, the mobilization of significant private sector resources is a central objective of the plan. Dear friends, Greece is placed in the southeastern frontier of Europe and the EU. My country's geographic location at the crossroads of 3 continents underlines its potential to play a transregional role in the wider southeastern Europe. Greece, in the post-pandemic era, intends to embrace its prospects as a hub country for logistics, innovative technologies, and energy. The 3Cs initiative presents Greece with an additional innovative platform for collaboration with its partners. As President Radev pointed out, the inclusion of Greece in the initiative is of key significance because important energy, transport, and digital routes intersect the Bulgaria-Greece border. The 3Cs initiative region should take advantage of the potential of ports and LNG terminals in Greece. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Madam President. And also for the very concise message. You actually relieved burden from me because you did most of the wrapping up of the session, so I don't have to do it now. And I'm so pleased that we actually are running ahead of time. So we will have enough time for discussion and for questions from the business. With this, we finish the introductory remarks of the presidents and the heads of states, and now I'll open the floor to questions from the audience. I would like to certainly give priority to questions coming from the business community. So if you have a question, please raise your hand, and there are microphones on both sides of the room from where you can ask the questions. I would like you to present yourself clearly, who you are, ask your question, and also if you are directing it to a member of the panel, to a specific president or leader of a delegation, please do say so. So, to the room on the left, I see Mr. Ivan Katsarov there.
Hello.
Please, go ahead.
Do you hear me? Good day. My name is Ivan Katsarov, and I am the General Manager of the Bulgarian Forum for Transport Infrastructure, and also of the Bulgarian National Committee to the World Road Organization. My question is to Rumen Radev, our president, and of course all other presidents. Since one of the main pillars of today's event and the 3Cs initiative is connectivity and transport, I would like to ask if you are going to start a discussion about the missing transport connection, the missing transport corridor in the north-south direction between all our countries under common conditions of homogeneity, safety, quality, and of course innovation. Thank you.
President, it was first directed to you, so corridor number 11 and all the other aspects of connecting infrastructure.
As all of us have spoken, infrastructure is a key to success in our efforts to improve the standard and quality of living of our citizens for our region. However, we should build that infrastructure wisely. That's why we call for uniting our potential in science, education, innovation, because the needs are huge, but our resources are extremely limited. So what to do? We need to take very well organized and wise decisions based on research and development results, based on the last technologies and innovations. Directly to your question, yes, there is a missing corridor, transport corridor, north to south. I will give you an example. If you count the number of bridges over the Danube River in the western part of Europe, there are hundreds of bridges. But between Romania and Bulgaria on our Danube border, for a distance more than 350 kilometers, there are only two bridges, 350 kilometers between them. So how can we talk about connectivity? And that's why we need to think. We have three levels of thinking. First one is national, next one is cross-border, when two countries think together, and the philosophy of the 3Cs initiative is to think in the trans-regional dimension. If all of us think together, we'll realize that if we start from Alexandroupolis, the Greek leading port with the capacity more than the biggest capacity of the ports on the Black Sea, if we unleash this capacity to the north, if we build that infrastructure between Greece and Bulgaria, it means we must have at least maybe 4 more bridges between Bulgaria and Romania. And to go to the north, through Hungary, through the other countries, to Poland and Baltics. So this is the way of thinking, this is our philosophy, and we should finally start planning together. In fact, we missed the opportunity of national recovery and resilience plans because we were, all of us, in a hurry to sit down together and to think about the most feasible and promising infrastructure together. But I'm sure that thanks to summits like this one, we'll start this united thinking, how can we be better off?
Thank you, Mr. President. If any other of the presidents would like to touch on, or I'll move to the next person raising hand. I can see Professor Standanchev, is that you?
Yeah.
It's too far from here for me to see. Please, the microphone is yours.
By the way, I'm not from the business, from the educational sphere, but I have a question to President Radev too. Mr. President, several months ago, you launched the idea, education and science, to be involved in the initiative 3Cs. Please be so kind to reveal a little bit more your idea for education and science in this initiative. Thank you very much.
It is not an easy one, but it is crucially important. When I advocated this new vision during the Estonian presidency, the main focus was on infrastructure. Of course, our main focus is on infrastructure. But if we want this initiative to prevail in time, after 20, 30 years when we lay down the necessary asphalt and pipes and optics, what next? And I do believe that this initiative is also to develop the potential of our young people, to unleash their talent, to keep them in our region, to develop science, to develop innovations right here, and to think how can we improve the quality of our connectivity. For instance, I would like to see the same standard of highways in Bulgaria as in Poland, as in Austria, as in the Czech Republic. Why don't we develop and apply the leading technologies in our infrastructure to be reliable, to be safe, to be stable in the future. So this is my goal, and the other concept is that, you see, everybody knows our needs are very high. Some agencies calculate the needs of trillions of euros to establish and to develop an infrastructure matching the infrastructure in Western Europe. But the fund now is very limited. If we go back to European funds investment in network infrastructure, it is roughly 47 billion euro invested so far. But we need much more. The fund is limited. And my idea is to take a small portion of this fund, roughly 1 billion euro, and to have equal distribution of that money in research and development centers in each country, dedicating to, let's say, 5 main priorities for developing smart connectivity, smart energy, smart transportation, and to invest in those university or innovation centers to think together how to improve our standards, how to improve our quality of living and our infrastructure, which is, by the way, the necessary condition to have quality of living.
Thank you, President Radev. I'm very pleased as well that the next panel will be on innovation, and we will have with us Commissioner Maria Gabriel, who is here today with us, and she will open the innovation panel as the Commissioner for Innovation, Research, Culture and Education. So that will be a very interesting session to follow up and resonate on, particularly this subject. I'll move now to the other side of the room where I can see better who is at the microphones, as it is closer to me. I saw a hand up in the air. Please take the microphone, present yourself and ask a question.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, panelists. My name is Isabella Albrecht. I provided an article to the publication which you received. It's entitled "The 3Cs Digital Future is Here to Stay." And since this future is also exposed to cybersecurity threats, I would like to ask the question whether you are going to discuss today this critical threat to 3Cs and the infrastructure which we are now planning to deploy in the region, because I think that this is a major challenge for the economic growth, but also security. We are all exposed to hybrid threats. We are all exposed to global trends which we can observe here with also cyber attacks and cyber incidents. So what can we do together to boost cyber security in the region while we are thinking about this digital future? Jan Brzezinski, who is also here, and the Atlantic Council presented recently the idea of the 3Cs Cybersecurity Center, but of course this is also related to innovation. We will talk about it, how we can boost innovation in a cybersecurity sector, how we will secure emerging and disruptive technologies. So this is my question, maybe to Madam President Kaljureit, my role model, and Deputy Prime Minister of Slovakia, responsible for digital issues.
President Kaljureit, please.
Thank you for the question. Indeed, we all know that in the future the roads will be talking to cars, cars will be talking to each other, and bikes will be talking to trains, etc. So we will very much depend on how secure and safe our networks are. They are secured by design, of course, and then they are secured by the transparency of the technology, which are supported by emerging global standards on what constitutes a safe design of a technology. For this, I would advocate 3Cs initiative could serve as the global role model for all democracies to develop this kind of infrastructure which can be really trusted. And the third layer is legal space. You cannot have security without internationally, globally agreeing about the legal space. My suggestion is we take the analog rules and apply them similarly in the digital space. Estonia has been working for 1.5 years in the United Nations Security Council to normalize the thinking that what applies in analog should also apply in digital. And thanks to our partners and allies, I feel we are making some progress. We plan to, in the 3Cs initiative format, indeed, to take this discussion further. We feel it as our responsibility. The prime ministers of the region and many others, including the new Secretary General of OECD, Matthew Cormann, will gather in Tallinn for Tallinn Digital Summit, which will be exactly dedicated to building back better world, blue dot, and smart connectivity, to fast forward this kind of thinking on cybersecurity. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam President. Deputy Prime Minister, I'm losing my microphone.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your interesting question. We are very much aware that since we're investing more and more in digitalization and digital transformation of our economy, hand in hand, we must invest in cybersecurity. This is one aspect. With the new instrument, Recovery Next Generation Europe, we in Slovakia, we invest in, when we think of digitization, one of the pillars is always cybersecurity. And we would be very happy to discuss this question also within the 3Cs initiative and at the European level. So this is one aspect. The second aspect is the digital poverty and digital exclusion. So we saw it during the COVID crisis that a huge proportion of our citizens were excluded from digital means. Our children, teachers in the remote areas with marginalized community. So this is our second, I would say, devoir vis-à-vis our citizens. And the third one are digital skills for whole community. And in Slovakia, we will focus especially for our senior citizens, because we just spoke with my colleagues and Mr. President from Latvia that with growing digitization, you need to enhance the skills of whole population. In Slovakia, we also discuss the ethical principle of artificial intelligence, which is very important. So yes, within the 3Cs summit and initiative, I think that this can be the testing bed for all these relevant questions.
Thank you, Deputy Prime Minister Ramisheva. Especially what you said about exclusion and digital poverty, I very much hope will be discussed in the digitalization session later. Much research, particularly during the crisis, some which done by our team, shows also that when digitalization has not been adopted at the right pace during the COVID pandemic, small and medium enterprises completely change their competitive edge, and there are many losers and those who are left behind, of which we have to think. But now I'd like to move to President Levits, who gave me to touch on that, and then Deputy Prime Minister Havlicek.
Yeah, thank you for this question, because you see that digitalization raises a whole range of problems. Cybersecurity is one of them. But I would mention also the legal and ethical problems, which already said my the Deputy Prime Minister of Slovakia. And digitalization is also about privacy. And privacy is a fundamental human right. And I think this aspect should be considered also by European legislation. European legislation, there are drafts from December of last year about digital markets and digital services. And there are already certain improvements concerning privacy, but it is not enough. The business models of international internet concerns are based on spying on of people. And I think this is very questionable, and there are already certain improvements provided for. But we have time to discuss in this year, next year, this new projects of European Union. And I would strongly support a human rights approach in this respect. So the privacy should be in any case respected, and privacy should not be diminished in digital space in comparison with analog space.
Well, indeed. Prime Minister Havlicek, please.
Thank you. You mentioned very well that the new technologies as digitization and so on are not only the opportunities but also the threats as a hybrid threats and so on. And we have to evaluate all of these aspects not only from the technological point of view, from the economic point of view, but also from the sociological point of view. I give an example. The Czech Republic is one of the leaders in artificial intelligence, in autonomous driving systems. And all of this, let's say, the new technologies, we have to evaluate from the ethics point of view. And at the same time that we are investing into the new technologies, we have to invest into the new study programs at the level of universities. And we are creating the study programs, artificial intelligence study programs, but the ethics artificial intelligence programs. That's important to mention.
Thank you. I don't see. I'm going to the left, please. Yeah, present yourself and direct your question to the President or to all of them. Thank you.
Thank you, moderator. Thank you. Thank you, moderator. My name is Jordan Buzilov. I'm President of Sofia Security Forum. I'm representing an NGO sector here on this business forum. And my question goes actually to His Excellency Levits, the President of Latvia, who announced that next year, during the presidency of Latvia, Civil Society Forum will be launched. And I have to tell you that we, among think tank community, we are discussing the issue and we welcome this initiative because we need to bring this format, the 3C initiative, closer to people. We need to give more information to the societies. We also have to address issues like good governance. We have to address issues like fighting corruption, creating a platform for business development. So we would like to have more from you on your idea. And again, you have the full support of the think tanks community for this idea. Thank you.
President Levits, please.
Yeah. Thank you. Indeed, 3C's initiative is concentrated on infrastructure, energy, green transformation, transport. But in order to make 3C's initiative more sustainable, it is necessary also to involve civil society in our projects, but not especially in commercial projects, of course, but in the idea of development of our region to make our region, a special region of Europe, more visible in political terms, in economic terms, in technological terms. And I think what one of the previous speakers said, I think President of Bulgaria said that the young people which are creative and very future-oriented should be committed to develop new ideas, social ideas, and also technological ideas in order to make our region as a part of Europe as a whole more strong and more developed and in order to achieve the goal of the European Union, the convergence of the whole Europe. And I think we will organize also a civil society forum in Riga as a complement to the business forum. And I think it would be not to shift from the concentration of infrastructure, but to complement the range of issues which are dealt by 3Cs initiative.
Thank you, President Levits. I first go to Jan Brzezinski, who gave me a sign a long time ago and's been waiting, and then somebody at the second microphone will have the chance. So, Jan, please shoot at us.
Thank you, Ilya. I have just two quick questions. One to the heads of state of the 3Cs initiative. How do you envision this important infrastructure initiative contributing to the integration of the non-3C states of Central and Eastern Europe? And here I'm thinking of Ukraine, I'm thinking of Albania, Macedonia, Moldova. How will the initiative contribute to their integration into a Europe that's undivided, free, and secure? And to the heads of state of Germany and Greece, I want to thank you for your support for the 3Cs initiative. And I wanted to ask, do you envision your governments collaborating with the 3Cs Initiative Investment Fund, or perhaps investing in that initiative, in that fund? Thank you.
And President Kalulait also wanted to respond.
Hi, Anne, my friend. Thank you for that question. I have a dream. I have to confess. I see the first 3Cs Initiative Fund as just a harbinger of the future to come. Already this fund can invest into projects which are with one end outside of the 3Cs countries in the neighboring countries. But if we have proved the concept that we can use private-public partnership, institutional and private money for development needs in the 3Cs countries, I foresee creation of next funds, which will be already specifically dedicated, why not, towards Eastern Partnership countries, the Balkan countries, in order to make them also to benefit from this format, which we have figured out for the 3Cs countries currently. I see this as an important opportunity for both European Union and United States to help developing our neighborhood around European Union. Thank you.
Bundespresident.
Well, thank you for your question. You know that Germany was not invited from the very beginning to be member of the 3C initiative. We are coming closer. We are now partners and observers. We are supporting the 3C initiative. And as I was just mentioning in my opening remarks, we are very ready and interested to invest in concrete projects, especially when it comes to renewable energies and to green projects with regard to the necessary transformation of our economy. You know, we are very close to the federal elections, parliamentary elections in Germany, and it will be up to the next government from October, November this year to decide the next steps in the cooperation with the 3C initiative for the time being and until the end of the period of the present parliament. You understand that we are very focused on the implementing on the multi-annual financial framework of the European Union and the recovery instrument, Next Generation EU. And, you know, in this period of the pandemic, in which also a big German economy is suffering, and we are contributing with roundabout a quarter, 24% to the multi-annual financial framework. You understand that we are concentrated on that, and that the future government at the end of the year and the beginning of the new year will decide of additional fundings for the 3C initiative. Thank you.
Thank you, Bundespresident. President Sakilapopoulou, would you like to also touch on this a little bit? And President Duda.
This one? Thank you. as I understand, I don't know about North Macedonia or Albania or Ukraine, because as I understand, all the countries that are member states are EU member states till now. When the other countries become member states, well, it's not my decision to make. As regards Greece, we're just, and I'm glad to be here this year as a guest country, and I explained some things in my speech. What I understand is that if Greece becomes an observer or a member, it's my government's decision. What it will bring is actually a fourth C in the initiative. So it's interesting to have the Mediterranean around also, and all the markets and what beyond Mediterranean. And of course, if a country becomes a member, then has to take the decision, when will it invest. I understand it's all a big question, a big discussion about all of it, the financing of these projects. It's not so easy these days, too many funds, too many problems. Europe is trying to solve them, but the initiative still has a lot of reason to be alive. So we'll see what happens. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam President. President Andrzej Duda.
I'll try to answer this question given by Mr. Ian Brzezinski. Sir, 10 years ago, my family decided to go to the holidays to Greece. And we decided to go by car. So I drove from Kraków, my town in Poland, my city, to Vasiliki in Greece, Madam President, by car. And believe me, Europe in our part of it is very, very, very wide. And this is a very, very, very long way, because there was lack of the motorways, and it took many, many hours to go through the neighborhood and other countries from Poland to the south. So that's why, after a few years, when I became one of the members of the Polish Parliament, and after a few years when I became a member of European Parliament, I supported very strongly the idea of Via Carpathia. This is one of the greatest ideas of the 3 Cs initiative in a matter of the transportation. This is the motorway, the express road from Baltic Sea, cross Poland, between Polish-Lithuanian border and Polish-Slovakian border. In Poland, this is about 500 kilometers, and through Slovakia, across Slovakia to the Black Sea, and now we are building this road in Poland. This is a huge investment, one of the biggest we have now. This road is under construction. And we also apply to the European institutions, and we also we apply to the European Parliament for joining this Via Carpathia to the TNT network of Europe. And so if you, dear friends, dear colleagues, if you really think about the good connectivity and good conditions of transport in our part of Europe, please support our deeds, because it's really important to have a good conditions to build it in all our countries, from the north to the south. And if you have such a great, long and road crossing so many countries, you can have a very good opportunities of connection to the whole neighborhood, because it's quite easy to join this road through the Polish border, for example, or through the borders of our neighbors and our friends. Many years ago, when we tried to drive to the Western European countries, and we have practically we had no motorways in Poland 30 years ago. That was the great difference, tremendous difference, I can say, between Poland and Germany. Germany was this is the huge participation of Germans in European connectivity, that through the Germany, to their excellent network of Autobahn and other roads, you can reach practically every country around Poland in Europe, and this is really so that's why Germany is our strategic partner here in the Three Seas Initiative, because I can say that Germany has the best network of the transportation, not only, I think, in the European Union, but also in the world. So this is a great example, and their experiences are crucial in this matter. And we would like to have the same situation as Germany has. Yes, we would like to have a very good opportunities of communication in our country, because this is crucial for business, especially for business. If you would like to be very strong, if you would like to have very strong economy, you have to develop connectivity, you have to develop transportation, and the crucial element is our roads, our railways, etc. So. And this is also very, and our neighbors will be also beneficiaries of that idea.
Thank you, President Duda. Dr. Georgieva of the IMF.
Thank you. I just want to make a simple observation. When we look at the 20th century, it is very likely that it is the engine of convergence that the European Union invented to come as the best invention of this century. And it benefited countries that were further ahead and countries that were behind. That convergence should not stop at the borders of the European Union when we take a longer-term perspective. And if you take this longer-term perspective, Europe is Europe. Ukraine is part of Europe, Moldova is part of Europe, North Macedonia is part of Europe, here the Western Balkans, they're part of Europe. So, in my view, it is a matter of time, and certainly these countries here would play a very important role because of proximity, because of experience, because of the way they have gone through this convergence process and continue to go through it. But I want to make a point as the head of the IMF that it is really good for growth in Europe as a whole, because when there is that opportunity to build infrastructure, connectivity, new markets, new businesses, everybody benefits. Germany benefits, Poland benefits, Bulgaria benefits, and therefore I am an optimist. I believe very strongly that perhaps the political processes would take more time, but we should not prevent the economic drive of this convergence. On the contrary, we should encourage it. And what was the biggest element of it? What is even today the fuel? President of Estonia spoke about democracy, values, rule of law. And I think we have to continue to strive to expand that universe of democracy, the values that unite us, of rule of law, ultimately for the benefits of our citizens and for the security and stability of Europe.
Thank you, Madam Managing Director. It is indeed so reassuring to have the IMF as a driving force of optimism and a positive message. When I, many years ago, as a Deputy Minister of Finance, had to work under the programs with the IMF, unfortunately, we were in a very different mood, but compliments to the entire staff and personally to you for this leadership and for sending a strong motivating message about how we can all benefit indeed and using the experience of the IMF.
This is not your grandmother's IMF.
I'm indeed that old. I got my granddaughter born a couple of months ago, so it is time's flying fast. I've got one more question on my right side who's been waiting for long, so please present yourself and ask your question. And if there is somebody at the other microphone, please do it immediately after that. We'll collect 2 questions and wrap it up because we are approaching to the end of the session. So please be concise, short questions, and present yourself clearly.
Thank you, Mr. Lingorski. My name is Matt Bryza. I'm a colleague of Ian Brzezinski's at the Atlantic Council and was a longtime diplomat that worked with all the 3 Cs countries, but especially with Poland and the Czech Republic and with Bulgaria to try to help the governments diversify their supplies of natural gas away from the, shall we say, primary supplier, and then enhance the role of the private sector. And I'm honored that later today I'll participate in the signing ceremony of a US company, Linden Energy, with a Bulgarian company, Overgas, to privatize or strengthen the privatization of the natural gas sector in Bulgaria. Question, when I talk to my colleagues in Washington, D.C., I get a sense that even though natural gas is twice as clean as coal, with all due respect to President Duda in Poland, there seems maybe to be an emerging sense when leaders are thinking about strategic investments, maybe to skip over natural gas and focus right away on renewables. But to what extent do you see natural gas playing the role as a transition fuel to the future world that will be based largely on renewables?
Natural gas is transition fuel, and I'm moving to the microphone on my left, so for the final question, please.
Thank you very much. My name is Nikola Gazdov, Chairman of the Association for Production, Storage and Trading of Electricity. I represent a business organization, so I have 2 practical questions. First one is related to the aspect of red tape. So financing is great, and I think it's a very strong message to have all these esteemed guests and speakers today here. It's clear that financing could and should be unlocked, but what about red tape? It takes 2 to 4 years to develop a solar project, I think, in most of the countries that are represented at the podium. It takes 3 to 6 years to develop a big wind plant. It takes perhaps 8 to 12 years in Germany and Austria, I would imagine even a bit longer, to develop high voltage power lines, transmission lines, and we need those to transport cheap electricity produced from solar plants in Greece, Bulgaria, Romania, Croatia, to Central and Northern Europe, and we need them to transport back cheap wind electricity produced in Germany, Austria, and the Baltics, let's say. So my question is the 3 Cs initiative going to be involved also in the process of convergence? I really like the term, convergence of legal administrative procedures, cutting red tape. And then second question is related to Europe falling behind the global race in power electronics.
Please speak quick with it. I don't want any of my delegates speaking longer than any of my presidents.
Absolutely. So very quickly, what do we do when we compete with Asian countries in power electronics, producing solar panels, battery storage, and electric mobility?
Madam President, Caroline.
I'll start with few. My colleagues can then end up. I think the second question partially answers the first one. It takes a certain time to develop production capabilities and storage capabilities, and therefore investing into intermediate fuels becomes less and less feasible in Europe. Already European Investment Bank has said that it is not going to invest into intermediate cycle. This actually has its influence. Now to the green turn. I believe that if we have a clear understanding what is the role of a market and what is the role of the governments in this green turn, we will be smarter in our investment and could also move quicker. First, governments are responsible for creation of the market, which means interconnectivity, interconnections, pipelines, grids, offshore wind grid in the Baltic Sea, for example. And then we should leave the rest for the market, for technologies to compete, for individual private enterprises to compete in providing production capabilities and storage capabilities for our new emerging clean energy market. If we can make this divide clear, then I'm quite sure that the whole concept is much more understandable and our green bubble will give quicker results. I would also like to sing some praise to Poland, which you apologized there for the coal, linking it to Poland. But what my Estonian companies in wind and solar tell me, Poland is the country where it is the easiest in the region to invest in these energy production capabilities. And I invite Poland, and I hope that my own government will soon resolve some issues related to local governments to speed up the developments as well. Thank you.
President Radev, sir, I can report that we have approached the end of our discussion sharply on time. So perhaps you'd like to say a few final words to wrap it up.
So there are so many subjects of discussion, and we need many days, but especially about the energy sector. The energy is the fundament of economy. If you have sustainable and cheap energy, you could be a leader in all other areas of your economy. That's why it is vitally important to develop this fundament, to be reliable, to be cheap, to be diversified. About the gas as an interim transition solution, we need to find the right balance within the European Union. What happened after announcing the Green Deal, which is something perfect, which is something necessary, but the appetite grows. I remember 50 to 40% decrease of greenhouse gas emissions. In December, just quite of a sudden, the European Union